Hi, my name is Leandria Stern, and I am presenting to you information about the city steps of Pittsburgh for COMM 101. So, anyone who's familiar with Pittsburgh has probably heard it called the City of Bridges because Pittsburgh proudly boasts 446 bridges. It may just take the cake for having the largest number of bridges within a city. But there's another significant mode of transportation within the confines of the Steel City that often get overlooked, and that's our city steps. They were originally installed to help transport industrial workers to and from work. The city steps of Pittsburgh are as unique to our city itself and have a history that I thought was worthy of being told. I myself am a city dweller, and I take the Pittsburgh city steps to and from work every day to catch the T. And I wanted to gain a deeper understanding of the history about these structures. I wanted to know why they're here and who uses them and where do they take us. And it wasn't until I began to do my research that I learned just how integral these architectural anomalies are to the neighborhoods that they serve. I myself am not from Pittsburgh, and so to me, the city steps were just really cool. I noticed that they were all throughout the city, and that some of them are different. They serve hillsides and what seems like mountainsides, and sometimes they run up streets. They're called jump steps, and so I just really wanted to take a deeper dive about what that was like. So I'm going to talk to you about the reasons why Pittsburgh city steps were built and some of the unique ways that they're being utilized today. So Pittsburgh actually has more city steps than any other city in the world. In fact, if you were to stack all of Pittsburgh city steps one on top of the other, they would be about the height of Mount Everest, which is so crazy to think about. But that just helps you understand how many steps there are here right in this little big city. Of course, they weren't built to break records, right? They were built, of course, for more practical purposes. And so they were built to help people get to and from where they needed to go. The city steps were Pittsburgh's first mass transit system. According to the book Pittsburgh Steps, the story of the city's public stairways, the flat land that was adjacent to the rivers, which were then primary means of transport, was considered the prime land for the area's many steel mills. So that makes sense, right? The steel mills lied like all up and down the rivers because the boats and the ships needed access to the mills to move the product to and from the mills, from the factories. But the people who worked at the mills lived in the hills, and in order for them to get to work every day, they had to take city steps. Originally, the steps were private, but then formal steps were constructed by the city, and they were constructed along right-of-ways. These steps became legal streets, and these legal streets, some are still there. By now you have some idea why the steps were needed, so let's take a look at how they've been changed and how they're still being used. Many of the city stairways are considered legal streets, as I said before. According to the website dedicated to city streets, there are more than 800 sets of steps containing more than 45,000 individual steps. And of those 800 sets of steps, 344 of those are considered legal streets, meaning that there are 344 legal streets, and I use air quotes when I say that are actually just a set of steps. Maps don't always tell those who are trying to access these streets that they're nothing but a set of steps. Therefore, the city has recently tried to make it easier for those who are traveling by updating city street signs to include a picture of a staircase when they're inaccessible by car. Now, this might make that Amazon delivery that you're expecting a little bit more challenging to receive, but it's just one more thing that makes this city steps unique. The city steps are recognized as a critical access asset to the burg because they help keep communities connected. Properly maintained streets draw visitors who want to explore and can be used for exercise. They might be used to connect residents to transit shops or to one another. The steps are part of the city's heritage, and there have been several initiatives to keep the staircases as a viable option for city dwellers. Pittsburgh has a website that's dedicated to the city staircases, which highlight the systematic method that the city uses to prioritize which steps will be rehabilitated. There are also interactive apps which can be downloaded to find locations of different city steps and provide information about the neighborhoods that they're in. And then there's another creative initiative that's going on right now through Bike Pittsburgh, whose mission is to transform city streets by promoting connectivity between communities. And they are hosting a fashion show. I thought this was pretty cool. It's really unique. We know that they also host walking tours, but a fashion show, what a way to feature our city steps. So as you can see, the city steps of Pittsburgh hold a special place within the history and future of the burg. Can you think of any ways to preserve these unique, historical, yet functional feature of our hills? Like anything that is valuable, the city steps require attention and care. In today's fast-paced world, it's not always at the top of everyone's to-do list to slow down and take the steps. However, the Pittsburgh City Steps have both a cultural and practical value that are worthy of our time. They not only benefit the communities that keep us connected, but they're also reminders of the city's culture and complexity. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this speech about the Pittsburgh City Steps.